doubled past a pawns, and both very far up the board. Okay, Noctie goes on with the tricky stuff. Hey guys, this is Andy from Noctie. Today we're gonna go through the weekly scenario for week 35 of 2025. This week we have an exciting position from a game played by the Slovakian international master Thomas Balogi as white against the Romanian grandmaster Andrei Stratescu as black. So let's first take a look at the position and analyze it and try figure out what's going on. So when we evaluate this position, it's usually a good idea to first look at the material. And here we see that we have material balance. Both sides have equal material. However, we have an imbalance in the pawn structure in the queen side. And here we see that black has these three connected pawns. White, on the other hand, has these two pawns here in the center. And most importantly, they have this protected passed pawn here on d5. But on the other hand, black has this nice 2-against-1 majority on the queen side, and black's idea should be pushing down the b pawn and a pawn and try getting them to promote. And furthermore, we see that black's pieces are more active on the queen side. We have this nice light square bishop complementing these pawns on the dark squares. So together they control many squares. Also, we have the queen here behind the pawns, ready to support them marching forwards. White, on the other hand, should focus on trying to play in the center, utilizing this asset here on d5. Also, they have more space here on the king side with the pawn on g4. And also, most of their pieces are situated on the king side. So with that said, it's a very dynamic position where both sides have different areas where they should focus on. But it is still black who holds the advantage here. And the reason is simply that their queen side pawn majority is simply too strong. Furthermore, black has this hidden asset here on g7. So this dark squared fianchettoed bishop is currently blocked in by some pieces, but if black manages to unleash it, it will become really powerful, staring down this long diagonal, giving more support to these dark squares. Here, Stratescu found an amazing idea. He simply sacrificed an exchange. He grabbed the bishop here on e5 with the rook, and of course white must take back, and here comes the brilliant idea. Black can simply play knight d7. Notice here, just in 2 moves, black managed to unleash the power of the dark squared bishop. Now it's supporting the long diagonal, staring down and controlling these dark squares. And also, black does this with tempo. So white's rook here is under attack and they must move it. White correctly plays the only move, rook e4. So any other move actually would be completely losing right away. And the reason is that black's queen here is of course eyeing the c4 pawn and currently is defended once by the queen. But if the rook would have gone to another square, then black can play bishop b2 and then the queen is forced to move and the c pawn would be falling. So here black plays bishop b2 anyways, the queen must move and white goes to f4, a reasonable square because white here must try to create something against black's king. But so far, white does not threaten anything, so black can continue with their plan, and that is simply to play b3. So now we are marching the pawns. White takes, we take back. And here it becomes apparent that the a pawn will be very difficult to stop. These 2 bishops here control the next 2 squares, a1 and a2, and also black's queen here on a6 is supporting the pawn from behind. White has to try something, so white goes rook e7. Here, black must be a bit careful because white is threatening to take with the queen and then checkmate on h8. So here, black found another nice resource, and here black played queen f6. This is a beautiful move, taking advantage of the fact that white's queen is unprotected. So here, white simply cannot grab the free knight on d7 because the queen will be hanging. And if white would go for a queen exchange, then black can simply take back with the knight, and as before, the a pawn is unstoppable. So white would have been forced to sacrifice a whole rook for the pawn, after which black would be up so much material. So instead, white tries to keep the queen on the board. So here white plays queen e3. This move of course threatens the light squared bishop, so we must deal with that. Here, black simply grabs the pawn here on c4. Notice how black ignores the threat on the knight on d7. So in this position, material is actually not so important, especially when it comes to pieces that aren't involved. The knight on d7, if white captures it, it doesn't even matter, because the focus is on the a pawn that is just 2 squares away from queening. So here, white does not have much choice. White takes the knight, black takes the rook on f1, white takes back, and now black simply marches with the a pawn. And now there's only 1 square left before it promotes. White is already lost here, but they tried for one last move, g5, disturbing the queen. Black simply plays queen f5, and now there's a threat on the rook on d7, and also a1 getting a new queen. So here, white resigned because the position is completely lost. If white would play rook a7, then we'll simply get a new queen. White must sacrifice, and after that, black will be up material. That was a very beautiful game, and the key idea was the first move, the exchange sacrifice on e5. So with that said, now it's our turn to play against Noctie. Alright, so here we are against Noctie. Let's see if we can win this. So I'm going to follow the brilliant idea in the game and play rook takes e5. Noctie grabs back, and here we play knight d7. Let's see which square Noctie puts the rook. Interesting. So here Noctie deviates. Instead of playing rook e4, Noctie plays rook e7. But as we mentioned, this shouldn't be possible. Let's see what happens if we play bishop b2. Noctie must move the queen, perhaps queen f4 like in the game. Oh, I see. So the issue is that after queen f4, Noctie will be gaining a tempo, because then they were threatening f7 here. So here I think, since our knight is defended by the bishop here, we can first disturb the rook. Nice. Happy that it's a blue move, so it's a great move. So this is the correct idea. And now Noctie goes rook e1. Now I think is the time to play bishop b2. Or simply just knight b6 and grabbing the c4 pawn. Let's see here. What do we do? I think putting in bishop b2 makes sense, because we're getting tempo, and also with the bishop here on f6, it could be vulnerable for some knight jumps. So bishop b2 it is. Let's go. Nice. A purple move. That is always great to see. So remember, purple is excellent, blue is great, and green is good. Okay, let's see. What do we do here? Perhaps now we can follow the idea in the game, pushing with b3. White must take. We take back with the bishop. And then we'll be threatening the c4 pawn also. So let's go with that. Black plays rook e7, threatening to grab on f7. And here, yeah, I feel I'm just copying the game, but yeah, I think that's fine too. We're here for learning, right? So here I'm thinking of playing the same move as in the game, queen f6. Yeah, and Noctie agrees with GM Itratescu's idea. So here, let's see if Noctie accepts the queen exchange or not. I think she has to, because otherwise, if she moves, yeah, if she moves, then we can just grab the a pawn, right? That looks for free. Yep, let's do it. And now we are threatening to promote on a1. Okay, interesting. G5. Noctie is disturbing our queen. What do we do? But we have to realize that the G5 pawn is unprotected. Perhaps we can just grab it. Nonetheless, I think this is a good move from white because it creates complications. And otherwise we'll be just getting a new queen and completely winning. I think we have to grab it, otherwise this knight jump might just be quite dangerous. Yeah, so let's just grab it, because otherwise this knight jump will become quite dangerous. And I don't think this changes anything, because a1 is still possible for us. Let's see. Okay, Noctie jumps in, but there isn't really any threat, right? No, there isn't. Notice that this move we can always take. If queen takes, we move up. And white does not have any attack going on. So here, let's just get ourselves a new queen. White must sacrifice. But after that, we'll still have another a-pawn left. So that's the beauty of this position, right? We had doubled past a-pawns, and both very far up the board. Okay, Noctie goes on with the tricky stuff. What is going on here? The idea, perhaps if we take the pawn, let's see, we have to calculate a bit. The back rank idea still does not work, because if that happens, and if queen takes, we will also have the idea of blocking with the knight. Yeah, but then on the other hand, they will grab our bishop, but then we'll have some checks here. So I think that is fine. So let's say we grab, and do they have any discovery? I don't think so. Everything's protected. So yeah, let's just take it. But still, I think, yeah, it's the best try for Noctie to complicate the position. Here, we simply take. And when Noctie takes here, we have a choice. We could either go up with the king, and after that, they won't have any more checks. Yeah, let's just do that. That's the safest. And on the next move, we'll have some idea with this check. Okay. Here, let's just, yeah, make this move anyways. And then we can simply push up the a-pawn. d6. But there isn't any threat. Everything is protected. We continue with a2. And yeah, I think we'll get another queen. We can just take it here. And when Noctie takes back here, we'll have another queen. So with a full queen up, as well as a piece, we should be able to find some checkmate here. Yeah, we actually have a checkmating one. So if you want, take a few seconds, you see if you can find the checkmate. Here we have this nice checkmate from behind. So yeah, we managed to do this, and as we saw, the crucial idea was the first move, the exchange sacrifice. So this week's scenario was really fun to play, and as we saw, the most important move was the first move, the brilliant exchange sacrifice. And it was also a positional exchange sacrifice, where it truly demonstrates how piece activity can triumph over material. And in my personal opinion, those moves are among the most beautiful in chess. If you want to look at more beautiful moves in chess, we have made a collection of this together with international master and FIDE senior trainer Jesper Hall. I'll put the link down in the description to a collection of the 10 most beautiful moves in our opinion. Feel free to check that out. So yeah, that was it for today, and as always, thank you so much for watching and happy playing. Bye bye.